Hello. Sorry. Hello. Those online, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can hear you.
Okay, great. Awesome. You're all welcome to today's
Madam,
session.
why can't you remove the mask? You're not getting you a little bit clearly. I mean, there's no COVID.
Yeah, but there are other diseases. Okay, I'll take the mask off. So welcome everyone to today's session. I am your moderator for today. I'm Henrietta Ampofo from Ghana, the Environmental Health Thematic Facilitator. And we have 3 speakers online and 1 speaker in person. The One Health session stems from the One Health Alliance, which is a quadripartite. When we say quadripartite, we mean that there are 4 members of that alliance. It used to be a tripartite until UNEP joined. So we have WHO, we have FAO, we have WOAH, which is the World Organization for Animal Health, and then we have UNEP. So for today's session, we have our 4 speakers. We have Ms. Anjana Varma. Thank you. Please could you wave for us? Okay, and online, we have Professor Alberto Mantovani from WHO Europe. Hello, Professor Alberto, is he online?
He's online, but he's having some issues with the audio.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, so while he sorts that out, has Dr. Chadia Wanos also joined online from WOH?
Yes, I am here. Good morning.
Great, awesome. And hello? Yes, sorry about that delay. And then we have Dr. Farah.
Fairuz Larfawi. Hi.
Thank you very much
Online.
for helping with the pronunciation. I'm really sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much for joining in. So we'd have a bit of an icebreaker session just for like a minute. So we would, in a very quick round, everyone here will just turn on your mic and you just mention the country you are from, very quickly. So all over, and then for those online, you can put whichever country you are in the chats. So we'll start from Omnia. So when it gets to you, we'll go this way, just your country, next, then we go to the next line.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Anfer. I'm from Morocco.
Okay, thank you, Omnia. So please let's just stick to just your country and then we go. He's the next person.
Gervais from Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay,
Alexander from Kenya.
okay,
Elizabeth, Kenya.
William, Kenya.
awesome.
Hastings, Malawi.
Okay,
Ekinosa, Nigeria.
awesome.
Bine from the Netherlands.
Nice to meet you. Rabib?
Hello, I'm Rabe Baloui from Tunisia.
Okay,
Stephen, Indonesia.
Chumtai from Kenya.
My name is Alana Chalangat and I'm from the Republic of Kenya.
oh, nice. We have a child amongst us. Welcome. Okay, so we'll start from this end.
My name is Peter from Kenya Civil Society.
Nice to meet you, Peter.
I'm Sharon from Kenya.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Peter from Kenya.
Okay.
I'm Riz from Kenya.
Victor from Kenya.
Wycliffe from Kenya.
Kenneth from Kenya.
Alphonse, Kenya.
Okay, at the back. Okay.
Kenya.
Nice to meet you. Then I'll come up here. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Katharina from Germany.
Gibbon from South Korea.
Anjana from India.
Morning, Clive from Kenya.
Michelle from Canada.
Okay, and I'm Henrietta from I was gonna say Kenya, from Ghana. So many Kenyans. I nearly changed my nationality. Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction. We can see we have people from different parts of the world in this session, and I'm sure it's also the same in the chats. Without wasting much time, would like to call on our first speaker. She is in the person of Ms. Anjana Varma. She's a programs officer at the One Health team at UNEP, and she's part of the One Health Secretariat. So, Ms. Anjana, yes, please. Yes, please, you can come here. Please let's give a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for being here. I recognize it's a Sunday morning, so kudos to you for, for coming here. I think it shows your dedication. So we're very happy to have you here and welcoming you to, of course, the Youth Assembly. So I'll quickly speak a bit more broadly on One Health, and I know I have my colleagues here who'll go a bit deeper into the collaboration that we have jointly. But I'll give you sort of a broad overview and hand it over to the next speaker. So on One Health, I'm not sure how aware you are of what One Health really means, but maybe I'll just start off from the definition. So One Health, by definition, is an integrated and unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. It recognizes the health of humans, domestic and wild animals, plants, and the wider environment, including ecosystems. And it recognizes that these are closely interlinked and interdependent. This is actually a definition that I read out from the One Health High-Level Expert Panel, which is an advisory panel that advises the 4 organizations that Henrietta mentioned are part of the quadripartite. So essentially what it's really saying is that we need to recognize that there's an interaction that takes place between humans and animals and the environment for various issues, whether it's nutrition, whether it's livelihood, whether it's health, and a whole lot of issues. So it's a very simple and logical explanation, and it just really calls on everyone to collaborate within these sectors a lot more. And I think it's perhaps easier said than done, because I think what we've seen is that it is slightly harder to execute this, because the way we are structured as governments, as ministries, as sectors, where we are kind of sector deep, right? And so we don't have sort of cross-sectoral ministries, for example. But what it really does is it calls on everyone to look at the same issue from different angles, and it says that we need to apply a multidisciplinary lens to any issue that we look at together. And the logic behind that is that greater collaboration will help you with establishing greater efficiencies, a greater understanding of each other's problems. It will help you break down barriers and through sharing of knowledge. And ultimately, it's a logical approach that makes sense. Something interesting that I actually read a while back, which I wanted to share with you, is that One Health actually, in a way, has African roots. It is a concept that was inspired by this continent, and I say that because a precursor to One Health was this concept called One Medicine. And this is a concept that was coined by a renowned epidemiologist called Charles Schwab. He was studying the Dinka tribe from South Sudan, and I think this is in the 1970s. And he was studying the pastoralists, the traditional pastoralists of the Dinka tribe that moved from one place to another. And he saw a lot of parallels between human and animal medicine. He saw that, the way they were rearing their animals and the way they were living with these animals that they were rearing was in great harmony with each other. And they had certain parallels in the medicine that they were using also on humans and in animals. And so this concept of one medicine eventually evolved into One Health. And that happened more and more in the last few decades, and especially as the third leg of this equation, which we call the environmental dimension, came into the fore. So the traditional focus for One Health was actually a lot more on sort of the issues between animal and human health. So, for example, zoonosis, as some of you might know, is one of the areas of great study. And zoonosis has to do with how infectious diseases are transmitted from animals to humans. In the last few years, what's really interesting to note is that as COVID pandemic happened, unfortunately, this recognition came more to the fore that we need to look at these issues more closely. We need to look at animal health, we need to look at human health, and we need to look at the greater environment, because pathogen spillover oftentimes happens when there's a greater impact on the environment and there's a greater interaction between humans and animals. So we have things like, we have drivers like deforestation, land use change, climate change. All of these can lead to greater interactions and a greater imbalance in what we call, sort of the balance between the humans, animals, and the environment. The Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, which is called IPBES, as some of you might know, actually came out with a report in 2020, which particularly referenced these linkages. So for those who are interested, it might be worth looking that up. So politically in 2020, when COVID happened, there was a lot more recognition also amongst member states that we need to do something. And they called actually on, they called for greater inclusion of the environmental dimension in this space. And so we had the privilege of being invited to join the tripartite partnership at that point. And now we are a quadripartite 3 years later, and we work very closely together on One Health issues. But for UNEP in particular, I would say that we're uniquely positioned to look at what we call the triple planetary crisis, as some of you might be aware. You will hear that term a lot in these coming days, because that's really at the core of our sort of framework of delivery and what we do as an organization. We want to jointly tackle the complex crises of climate change, biodiversity loss and nature loss, and pollution and chemicals and waste issues. So if we take, for example, climate change, and I'll just quickly go through a few examples to give you an idea of how this is relevant to the environment space. So WHO has actually called climate change as the greatest threat to global health in the 21st century. So let that sink in for a while, because that's really an interesting thing to put out there, that the World Health Organization is saying climate change is actually the biggest health issue in the next 80 so years that we have left in this century. So climate change is really a quintessential One Health issue. But unfortunately, I think the focus of climate change is too heavily on it being an environmental issue. But it has impact on human health. It has impact on even wild and domestic animals and their health. It can cause extreme heat, air pollution. It can increase allergens. And if you get allergies, it can reduce the food and water availability in different regions. It can change vector ecology, or what we call sort of movement of viruses as it gets hotter and the weather changes. And it can lead to population displacement, not just of humans, but of animals as well. So it has a widespread impact. There's actually a very interesting study that shows there's an increase in cattle mortality correlated with an increase in air pollution. I think we haven't done enough research on this space, but there is certainly a lot of impact on animals when it comes to climate change and air pollution and all of these issues. Another example that I can bring in on pollution is actually mercury pollution. So if you look at, as some of you might be aware of the Minamata Convention, UNEP is actually the secretariat for this convention. This was a convention that was established because in the 1960s in Japan, in the town of Minamata, there was unfortunately mercury contamination that was happening because mercury was being released from an industrial plant into the rivers, and that affected the fish that were there in the river, and contaminated fish were then consumed by humans in that town of Minamata, and it affected their nervous system. So you can see that, you know, the impact was happening across different ecosystems and sectors, and so that's really in my view, it's a One Health issue because it has complex interactions and impact across. Antimicrobial resistance is another example, as some of you might be aware. Pouring of antimicrobials into the environment, you know, whether it's runoff from the farms, is very damaging. It's considered today a silent pandemic. And if we continue at this rate, at least 10 million deaths are estimated each year by 2050. The interesting thing to note about antimicrobials is that nearly 70% of antimicrobials are actually used on animals, on the promotion of their growth. And so there is this huge interlink there as well. And then finally, when you look at the issue of biodiversity, as you know, biodiversity underpins nature's contributions to people, right? So you have issues like environmental degradation, biodiversity loss, which can have impacts on human health. It can cause the loss of species, which depend on this biodiversity, and it can cause greater risks of spillover events. So at its core, again, it's a One Health issue. Fortunately, we do have a process in place now at an intergovernmental level because we are recognizing these linkages more and more between biodiversity and health. And we're saying, and there's a process in place under the Convention on Biological Diversity, and UNEP is also the secretariat for that. And they're currently putting together a global action plan on biodiversity health, and the quadripartite organizations have the privilege to actually contribute to this process. So I just wanted to share in a nutshell, you know, the linkages between One Health and the triple planetary crisis, and just to showcase how relevant this topic is to multiple sectors that we work on. And I think we ultimately need to promote more and more that these sectors need to work together. And finally, just a quick point on how the youth can play a key role in this. For some of you, you might be quite aware of One Health. Some of you, it might be a new topic, but I really encourage you to, of course, read more on it. And please, of course, do reach out to us. We're happy to give you more information on this. And I just wanted to appreciate the dedication you have, because this is clearly a platform. I believe the Youth Assembly is a very powerful platform for engaging on these important issues. So you showing up here is also very meaningful in that way. And, you know, you as sort of the backbone of society play a key role on all of these issues because you are part of society. So you participate. And so your knowledge matters a lot. Your awareness on these issues matters a lot. And ultimately, you know, you guys are, of course, the key decision makers of the future. And so you have a key role in determining what kind of a trajectory we take with One Health. I spoke about earlier how we don't have ministries that, you know, talk about the cross-sectoral collaboration, or we're maybe starting to make that effort happen more and more. Perhaps some of you might go and work in the governments of your countries. And so that's something for you to consider, whether we do need a One Health approach, and maybe we need to change the way we are structured as governments, as policymakers, and sort of do it in a way that promotes collaboration, greater cohesion, greater communication between the different sectors so that we can solve these issues together. So maybe I'll just stop there, and I'm happy to take questions later on, but I'll hand over to my next speaker, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'll hand over to the online moderator, Laura Pleshner, to introduce our next speakers. The first from FAO, then WHO Europe.
Yes.
And before she continues, I'd like all of us to give a round of applause to our speakers, especially those online. It's actually about 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday, and decided to sacrifice their time to actually engage us. So we are grateful. So let's just give them a round of applause before Laura takes over. So Laura, over to you.
Thank you so much, Henrietta. We have our next speaker, Dr. Farouz Lafoué. She's the Animal Health Officer, One Health, at Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, at the headquarters in Rome in Italy since 2003, and a member of the quadripartite of FAO, UNEP, WHO, and WHOAH Secretariat. I'm handing over now to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Colleagues, just to check if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
And thank you. And can you see also my presentation?
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Great, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be attending the Global Youth Environment Assembly. And it's really a very great pleasure to have here, to be all here present and having this opportunity to give a bit of also overview on what we are doing together, the four partners in terms of quadripartite, and also I will have also the opportunity to give you also an overview on what FAO is doing in terms of youth. So I will start just to explain. So it's really to underline youth engagement in the agri-food system and beyond. Just to mention the fact that in FAO, you know, which is the headquarters of the FAO is in Rome, and we have. I'm not going into detail on how we are structured, but we have a group on One Health and disease control, and which purpose is really to create synergies and improve coordination to tackle zoonotic disease and AMR under the One Health approach. And this is achieved through different concrete actions like developing guidelines, policies, strategies, implementing One Health principle, promoting research and for operationalization on One Health across the continuum, across the continuum of animal health, animal, human, and environment. And then within our youth engagement, we have dedicated time to address four distinct levels of youth engagement, which you can see in the figure just to highlight, is the cross-divisional level, allowing for more cost-effective mechanisms of multidisciplinary collaboration. And has, in fact, FAO has also created internally in FAO a One Health working group with focal points on One Health in each division so that they work together in a multidisciplinary approach. And we talk about over 80 divisions. And this is also including One Health focal point from FAO regional office. We are enable also the regional country and liaison office that enable optimal project implementation and broaden the scope of audience and perspective. Just to highlight the fact that in FAO we have 5 regional office and also sub-regional office and country office as well. And here bringing also the importance of the quadripartite collaboration, as it was mentioned by my colleague Anjana before, where we bring together really the 4 organizations to mainstream One Health together, and this has really to have a real important impact in the global community, but also at regional and country level. Finally, also what is really where FAO is really engaged, also it's to collaborate also externally with through the partner with NGOs, members, civil society, and really to work together to find also solution and based on the people of tomorrow, which is really also the youth. It's very important to this bottom-up approach has several innovative advantage. Now, just to reiterate what has been mentioned by Anjana, this collaboration on being the quadripartite, this mentioning that we had signed a memorandum of understanding in March 2022, and that becoming quadripartite. I'm not going into details to that because already Anjana has emphasized it, but really just to highlight without going into detail that in March last year, in 2023, we held the first annual face-to-face executive meeting among the 4 organizations, and the quadripartite took the opportunity to release a joint call to action, identifying 7 priorities area, which is a political advocacy, policy strategies, implementation, also the implementation of One Health, the workforce development, preventive of future pandemic, the importance also of the scientific knowledge and evidence, and finally the financing and investment. These are all important points to mainstream One Health. And there will be next week, actually, we will have, it will be from the 29th February to the 6th of March, we will have the next quadripartite executive annual meeting that will be in person, hosted by UNEP and during the UNEA. So this is also a great opportunity for us. Now, just to highlight One Health youth engagement in FAO, first I would like to mention what we've been doing. So it's really the importance of engaging and involving youth in mainstreaming One Health is really recognized as an integral strategy for advancing the One Health agenda. With our ever-changing society, therefore, recognize that the next generation is really key to sustainable the future. And we have a strategy framework in FAO covering the period from 2022 to 2031, which really emphasizes the vulnerability of children, young people, and youth, particularly females, and living in this insecure circumstance makes accounting for non-quantifiable suffering difficult. Sorry, excuse me. To mention another important point in this strategy that has been developed and drafted in 2023, to identify how best to actively roll out youth engagement initiative involving multidisciplinary university students from all over the world. And this includes that the key themes in bridging One Health and youth, which include gender terminology, partnership, and inclusivity. So these are really the key points highlighted. And also, what I want to highlight in terms of FO engagement in One Health, our team has partnered with World Food Forum and the Wageningen University and the research to facilitate the Transformative Research Challenge special prize on Global One Health. So this One Health prize focuses on the need for a global approach for the effective and balanced prevention of emerging infectious disease and responsible crisis management. So this is really an example of prize that has been created. So this last year was the first time where we had actually some One Health champion, and it will be repeated also this year. Just to give your attention, and there will be the application for 2024 will open on the 1st of March, and it is available on the website. And there were actually last year 10 winners that received a research grant for up to $10,000 and the opportunity to present also their nice project during this competition. So it was really very, very interesting, and this is a great opportunity. I would like this is just to highlight the importance of the FO work on the environment and using the One Health. Without going into detail, but just to mention to you, it's using it includes for advocating for environmentally and health-friendly productions methods and food system, reducing harmful pollutants and chemicals, also in preserving biodiversity and preventing the spread of pests and disease, maintaining ecosystem services and promoting health, in ensuring sustainable resource and management for maintaining ecosystem health and supporting productivity, also in promoting knowledge generation and One Health collaboration for collective learning and innovations, and also generating enabling environments that allow linking One Health and environment more firmly, and family in promoting sustainable agricultural practices that take into account environmental protection. So this is really to give you this overview on how FAO is working on the environment component within a One Health approach. Then here, this is another kind of concrete example on how youth is engaged in our work. First of all, we'd like to highlight our work in antimicrobial resistance, which is also very important in terms of addressing One Health. And in FAO, it is guided by the FAO action plan on an action plan that is covering a period from 2021 to 2025, and to support government, producer, traders, and other stakeholders to move toward the responsible use of antimicrobials in agriculture, thus helping reduce AMR in agriculture system. And youth engagement is really pivotal in addressing the global challenge of antimicrobial resistance, and recognizing that the younger generation represents the future consumers and professionals responsible for prescribing antimicrobial agents. Their active participation is really crucial in raising awareness, driving innovation, influencing policies, and advocating for increased community, national, and international support. And now, also in terms of another practical example of youth initiative, I would like to mention a quadripartite initiative in youth. This has been created also recently. The members of the quadripartite working group has been created, and it will inform and guide the quadripartite efforts to raise awareness and include young people in global antimicrobial resistance actions. And the members that expect to contribute actively to AMR activities and campaigns, and also help define strategies which can help to influence a wider set of youth-led or youth-serving organizations, as well as engaging youth directly in the global response to AMR. And so this is one initiative. I would like also to mention to you another initiative, which is called the Food Without Harm. And this is a competition. It still consists in reducing the need for antimicrobials. And this was a competition which was part of the antimicrobial resistance leaders program for African university students. And it brought together students from all disciplines working on One Health and action against AMR. And participants were required to submit a written paper proposing solution to reduce the needs of antimicrobial. And so this is a kind of another initiative. And there is a last one that I want to mention, but this is a one from regarding youth engagement in an initiative called Reno Farm. It's a 10-year global effort to reduce the need of antimicrobials in the agri-food systems while promoting responsible use. And so this is this initiative consists really in engaging various stakeholders across the One Health spectrum, emphasizing the crucial role that youth can play in tackling AMR. So youth is really included in this initiative. So this is just to give you a bit of overall an overview on what we are doing, FAO is doing in terms of youth engagement, and also with a quadripartite. So this is, I'm done from my side, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Larfou. And thank you for introducing the FAO to us and how we as youth can participate. And we are going next to our next speaker. It's Professor Alberto Mantovani. He is the research director at the Italian National Health Institute until 2023, currently contributing to international activities on risk assessment, especially at EFSA and One Health. He is the co-organizer of the International Summer School on Environmental Issues in One Health, and member of the Technical Advisory Group for One Health at WHO Europe. Professor Mantovani, the floor is yours.
Well, Happy Sunday early morning to everybody. And I'm really glad and honored to be here. Of course, I'm just an expert. I'm not a representative of WHO Europe, but I think I can tell you some maybe interesting hints. How to proceed now? I have a technological stress with my slide because I would need to proceed. And okay. Well, it has been explained much better than I can. Anyway, there are some keywords on One Health, and it's an approach, but it's more of a vision, and maybe it may be well understood, especially by those cultures like the Mediterranean culture, like Italians, like many African countries that have a strong relationship with the Mediterranean area, that highlight the links between different fields of knowledge, not just science, not just scientific fields, but also links with art and society. Because with One Health, we look at links and interdependency. And I wish to highlight also the last lines of this slide. Concepts in One Health must make an effort to become operational. So from science to action with a flow. And I would need again to go ahead. Okay, thank you. So there are some, again, keywords. I would say the first keyword is complexity. One Health is the best choice to understand, assess, and manage those complex issues that involves humans and their society, the food-producing organisms that are animals and plants, and the natural and or man-made environment. We are, in fact, living in a man-made environment which undergoes all the influx by the natural environment. And the complexity of climate change is, as has been already mentioned, is a clear example. And within this complex landscape, One Health helps us to pinpoint the priority, the most important components of the landscape, and also the components that may be overlooked. I have some examples and what expertise are needed, because to become operational, One Health requires for a contribution of different expertise. And I wish also to emphasize something that in the opinion of the technical advisory group of WHO Europe is very important. Interdisciplinary workforce to respond to emergencies like pandemics are very, very important. Still valid, but we need One Health 2.0, and this is a message to the young generation. Use One Health thinking from the very start, from the very scratch, to think and plan research and policy. Okay. What was our role of technical advisory group, and still is ongoing? Our work will terminate in a few, I think, in a few weeks with a final document to WHO Europe. Anyway, it's to translate recommendation into action. I think for young generation, this is very important. And what are challenges and opportunities? And it's very important to provide a good example of practical application in order to showcase the added value of One Health models put into the practice. Thank you. Stop. Okay. Complexity is complexity, of course, but the environmental components are, since environment in its wider sense has been for some years the hidden pillar, overlooked pillar of One Health, and maybe environmental components are the best examples of complexity. For instance, antimicrobial resistance. Okay, use humans and using humans, using animals, main components. But let's look at the overlooked component. There are the environmental spreading of antimicrobial resistant strains may see an important role of some environmental components like water bodies receiving wastes from humans and animals, and animal species feeding on waste and moving. Seagulls. I look from my room windows and I see a lot of seagulls going around in the sky of Rome, and these animal species can be a real reservoir spreading antimicrobial resistant strains. Let's look to another One Health issue, arthropod-borne viruses. First of all, there is an increasing risk due to climate change and global warming. We all and disruption of biodiversity. We know, but let's look to a more precise assessment how ecosystems, including town ecosystem like parks. And again, I look outside from my window in my hometown in Rome, how ecosystems do change due to climate and the human activities. So there's the epidemiology of these viruses is not just concerning viruses characteristics, which are obviously important, but is concerning also ecosystem characteristics. And let's fight the viruses. And then we had to involve also people that are experts into the possible harms of campaigns against insects that are bearing viruses in order not to damage humans, animals, on the environment with toxic residues. And this is an additional component of a complex vision embracing the whole problem. Mercury has been already mentioned, and there is a beautiful document of the Environmental Agency of the European Union showing that besides disasters, climate changes drive a number of hidden but important related events. For instance, sorry, I'm a toxicologist, increasing the availability of toxicants for food-producing organisms. And here we have this document make a beautiful overview of all hidden and not so hidden events like floods, heavy rainfall that release mercury from trapping compartments and increase availability of mercury to aquatic food chain. And then there's the human component because the intake, the risk of mercury, depends on fish intakes, in particular of some species that are liable to accumulation. And then we have an One Health view, slide, okay, of what scientists on this issue, which is just a model, but is an important model, can tell to risk managers. First of all, the next generation is most vulnerable to methyl mercury effect in the womb as a small children. Second, there are communities that are most exposed because they have higher consumption of fish. And third, that we need to pinpoint the vulnerable population So using different thinking than just studying environmental spreading of methylmercury, but also the hotspots of methylmercury, mapping emission, but also the geographical, and temporal distribution of mercury releasing events. And then we pinpointed the main and hidden expertises that are needed to manage this problem. So, how to operationalize, how to make 1 Health work? Some tips. First of all, build standing national and regional 1 Health workforces. And I tell to young people, use imagination, not just veterinarians and medical doctor or maybe chemists, but expertise in climate, soil, but also social science, communication. We need communities behind 1 Health. It's not possible. It's not possible without any 1 Health, any real operational 1 Health without community involvement. I'm proud to say that the Ministry of Health in Italy, as a really a pilot country in some sense, has launched a 1 Health department. I hope it will work, but I would say is an excellent idea. And then, okay, you are young people, you are much better with artificial intelligence than me, much better. And please look at data. There is no 1 Health without data, but what data, how data, integrate and share very different data like food, environment, good quality data, data sets that are organized in order to be integrated, and most important, exploit, not just collect the data, but use the data. Think about the many indications that food safety data can provide for humans, animals, and the environment. Continuous education and training, starting from the university, but going on. And of course, it has to be not limited to medical and veterinary doctors. And mind that we are not the same. The population, our communities are complex. So we need social science and communication. And finally, specific attention to the younger generation. As a scientist, and in particular with knowledge about pollution and pollutants, I know that children and adolescents are a special population group from biology standpoint, from diet, lifestyles, spatial environment. I don't go every day to school, but children and adolescents do go. But okay, this is a very valid scientific consideration, but we should always think that we are working for the younger generation because we are working for the future. And so young people, I'm as a scientist, my first concern is for young scientists. So recommendation to focus on 1 Health. I'm so happy of these initiatives supporting young scientists on 1 Health, and young scientists are the real force driving out from the good old silos, the very specialistic scientific field, toward integration and transdisciplinary collaboration. The great 1 Health challenges should be seen, like food security, pandemics, climate, should be seen for the present, but most important for the future. They can put the future in jeopardy, and future is of young generation. And therefore, the younger generation is the driving force for advocacy, bringing together scientific knowledge and policy action and the stakeholders' involvement, which may include also the involvement of citizens into science, It's all important in One Health, and the younger generation is obviously a major stakeholder. And that's it. Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry, I forgot the most important thing. There is no health without One Health. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Grazie mille, Professor Mantovani.
Kamala.
Thank you so much for explaining the complexity of One Health and for the nice messages you had for us as youth. Our next speaker is Dr. Vanus. She is the One Health Global Coordinator and Senior Specialist for the World Organization for Animal Health, focusing on prevention of health threats at the human-animal environment interface through One Health initiatives, including on zoonotic and vector-borne diseases, AMR, and integrating the environment in the One Health approach. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you.
Thank you. I will not have slides. I will just talk a little bit about what we are doing in terms of One Health and our youth engagement. So to start off, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to address this youth assembly and to share a few insights from the World Organization for Animal Health, WOHA. It was founded in 1924. So actually this year we are celebrating our 100th year anniversary. The previous name that we have, it's OIE. Maybe some of you working in the vet sector, they will recognize. Our organization is the Global Authority on Animal Health and Welfare. And we are doing this through supporting member countries through standards, settings, through guidelines and recommendations, and also through facilitating the exchange of information between countries about the animal health issues, including notification of outbreaks, which is very important for early warning systems, for early detection, and hopefully supporting, working together to reduce the spillover events from animal to the humans. And in this case, we prevent pandemics from happening. Looking now at the issue of the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution, it has become increasingly evident that these issues, as my colleague highlighted, they are complex, they are not isolated, and they don't only impact humans. They impact the animals also, they impact the environment and all living creatures on our earth. And therefore, we require multilateral, we require cross-sectoral and transdisciplinary approach to address them. And that's why we are adopting the One Health approach to arrive at sustainable solutions through working together. One Health is a whole of government and whole of society approach. So it's not just the sector, we have to bring the communities with us and all relevant stakeholders. And this where the role of the youth, it's really important as the main stakeholders to ensure the effectiveness of our work to address health challenges. As an intergovernmental organization, WOHA, we understand the value and the challenges to adopt such a holistic approach, an integrated and unifying approach. But we have long implemented the One Health approach, and we try to ensure that we balance the health of the human with that for the health of the animal and the environment through the collaboration, through our partnerships. And this quadripartite One Health collaboration is an example of this, where the four organizations, FAO, UNEP, WHO, and WOHA, we work together to avoid duplication of our efforts, and at the same time leveraging the resources, the expertise that each one of us has, so we can better support our members. As a colleague highlighted, climate change doesn't only threat human health, but also animal health, either directly, where it affects the availability of the food, the water, and the whole environment that the animals lives in. And also it increases the likelihood and the risk they contact diseases, and then it could spill over to the human. But also we have to acknowledge that a lot of our human activities, such as land use change, contribute to both climate change and biodiversity loss. And by this, we allow more interactions between wild habitat and human settlements, and more exposure to the viruses. And for that, we increase the likelihood that we encounter new emerging or re-emerging diseases. And that's why we have to take into consideration into all of our development efforts what kind of impact this will have on the environment and how this will cascade through the impact on the animals and the humans. We know for sure that we have a lot of emerging infectious disease in humans originated in animals. But are we doing enough to address those diseases? We need more to work on the holistic approach, on the interdisciplinary action that are needed for that. And I give you an example where the quadripartite collaboration on One Health, we developed the One Health Joint Plan of Action last year, which has 6 action tracks, very comprehensive plan. We don't only work on zoonosis and infectious disease, but also we address AMR, food safety, the integration of the environment into One Health approach, and also the overarching approach of strengthening our health system in the 3 sectors and having the capacity, the workforce that is capable and has the skills and the expertise needed to implement the actions. And another example of this work that we are doing, it's our wildlife health framework, which aims to strengthen the ability of veterinary services to prevent biodiversity loss through early detection and control of diseases in wildlife. And as this assembly is interested also in antimicrobial resistance, my colleague, all of them highlighted this important silent pandemic, and what we are doing to address it through our joint actions. And recently, of course, we established the working group of youth engagement in this area of work. So we are actively contributing in this way for integrating the risk assessment, but also management of AMR, and providing the guidelines, raising awareness about the importance of responsible use of antibiotics in both vet services, but also in human health. I know that more can be done, of course, to ensure that we have more youth engaged in this work. And I will start from the policies and the advocacy. We currently in the process to revamp our One Health high-level expert panel. In this, we ask for youth expertise to apply. And we will have a representative on this high-level expert panel that advise the 4 organizations of the quadripartite. And the second one, it's more about, of course, your role as youth to raise awareness, to advocate for change, because you are the leaders of the future. And that's why your role is very important in this regard. And the third one, it's about implementing the One Health approach at country level, at the sub-national level. And we need more engagement from youth in the platforms or the governance mechanism that allow this implementation and supported through technical or financial support to this. So I encourage the youth organization to be part of this One Health coordination mechanism at national and subnational level. And finally, important issue is to think about gender perspective on all what we do. And we admit that we need to do much more in this area. And we look for your contribution and your engagement in making our work more gender responsive, more gender sensitive. And I would like to conclude by saying that the way that the One Health approach bring more solidarity, more collaboration between us. It's the way to go to ensure that we build a brighter and more resilient future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vanus, and thank you for the encouraging words for us as youth and for introducing WUHA to us and the work you're doing on One Health and also on AMR management. And now we're going back to Nairobi. I'm giving back the floor to Henrietta.
Okay, hello everyone. So usually when you come for a session, you get to ask questions, but this time around, we are doing it the other way around. We'll be asking questions. And then afterwards, if you have any other concerns to be addressed, because we are far behind time, I'm trying to start up to share my screen so that we can start the quiz. But it will be using the Kahoot app. I don't know how many of you know the Kahoot app. So just in a moment. Oh, wow. So technology, my laptop decided to freeze. So we'll do it in another way. We'll improvise. So I would give the questions and it goes to the fastest person who answers. So if you know the answer, you mute your mic and then you go. So because we're gonna do it like that, it would be harder than what I was gonna project. So our first question. Before then, we had 3 awards to be given, 3 medals, gold, silver, bronze. But I'll be very partial and decide to give the bronze medal to the child that is joining us in today. So, so 1 medal is gone. So now we're going to fight for the 2, gold and then silver. So the first question, you should probably put your hands on your speakers. Okay, so name all 4 UN organizations in the One Health Alliance. Who is going?
Me,
Yeah,
the 4 organizations.
yeah.
There's WHO, there's FAO, there's WOAH,
Okay.
and UNEP.
Okay, sure. There's like a bonus question because it's in front. Okay, so this one is a little harder. But it was shared in the concept note that we discussed as a working group. I don't know how many of you had access to it, but how many sub-themes are there under the One Health agenda? I'll give you a guess. Maybe if you're lucky, you might get it. But so the medals will go first, second to the people with the highest scores. So I'm going to give you a guess. So it's from 3 to 10. So if you know, answer. If you want to take a guess, why not? You have 2 tries. How many sub-themes are there under the One Health Alliance? Anyone wants to give a try? You have 2 tries. Everyone has 2 tries. Okay, okay, sure. You want the gold medal. Nice.
Gender inequality.
Okay, so well, yeah, that's very important. But we are looking at a number of sub-themes, and the number goes from 5 to 10. So you're supposed to give me a number between 5 and 10 for the number of sub-themes under One Health. So if you want to take a guess, go ahead.
7.
7. Oh, you're close, but not quite. Yes. You can just unmute your mic.
6.
6, yeah, 6. So 1 point each for the two of you. The next question. This is going to be a little harder if you're paying attention in the presentation. So FAO, during the FAO presentation, they mentioned that there's a competition that has been opened and they're going to have 10 winners for that competition. My question is, how much money are they giving each person? It was in the slide.
$10,000.
Who is that? Wow, that was fast. Okay, so now we have 3 people, 1 point each. So whoever gets the most points would get the gold and then silver, and then bronze is already taken. Okay, so the next question is mention. So this one, I would give 2 people the chance. Mention any initiative you know under One Health Alliance. Any initiative, any of the initiatives you know. A lot were mentioned during the presentations. Any initiative you know under One Health Alliance.
I'm not sure whether the initiatives are like the principles. I had a lot about AMR.
Exactly. So there's
Those
AMR,
ones,
but can you give me the full name for AMR?
antimicrobial resistance.
Exactly. So that's one of them. No, that's fine. Give someone else a chance. So that's 2 points for you.
I think another one is integrating One Health into environment.
Okay, so that's one of the sub-themes of One Health. It's not really an initiative, so I'll give you half a point. Okay, who else wants to go? So we have somebody in the lead for gold. Okay, there's also Nature for Health, right? Yeah, so there are quite a number of other initiatives that you can, you want to give us all. Oh, nice. You have a One Health champion here.
Not all, but we talked about biodiversity and we also talked about pollution. Yeah, just to mention.
Okay. So thank you very much for that. So this question is almost a bonus because it went in your emails, it was on the posters. I want one person to mention the names of all 4 speakers. All 4. You can try. The one with the best try gets it. So all 4 speakers. Oh, wow.
Can I say just one?
Okay.
The WHO speaker, Albert Mantovani.
Okay. So somebody has tried. Okay. Pardon? Please, can you use the mic?
So we have Dr. Ferrod.
Dr. Vanos, okay.
Yeah. We have Professor.
You are reading for me. It's not allowed. You're disqualified. No.
Okay.
They just presented and we share the slides. Please let's hurry up. We have like another session about to happen. Okay, you want to try?
Anjana Verma.
Exactly. The name is here. Good. Okay.
Michelle.
Oh no, there's no Michelle. Sorry. Okay, so it looks like he's moved to silver.
Janxia Xiang.
Hello, who was speaking?
I'm just proposing one, Janxia Xiang.
Oh wow. Okay, so I'm not sure what
I'm
name you're
speaking
mentioning.
from online.
Don't share. Oh, wow, that's very inside information. She was supposed to have been the one presenting, but wow, who is this? You seem to have been following us from January. Interesting. Okay, so again, we have our speakers shared, so you can just check on it. But the last and final question. So, okay, so we have someone for gold already, right? What's your name?
Naomi.
Naomi, okay. So can we have all the participants with 1 point? So that the question goes to you because we need to break the tie for silver. So you have 1 point. You don't want to participate? Okay, you have 1 point. Someone else answered. Or you had half a point. Or you still want to compete. You had half a point. You answered twice. Okay, then you are the second person. Okay, then we have our gold and silver medalists. So thank you very much. Can you come forward so that we can give you your medals? Anjana will be giving the medals. Please come. Please, where's the photographer? I requested that he should stay. Thank you very much. We finally come to the end. If you have any questions or any clarifications, and Anjama is still around, we can get our speakers to also contact you if you need that. But we'd like to say a very big thank you to all those online, to our speakers. Please let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for taking time. I felt really bad that I had to wake you up so early at 7:30 to present. You probably woke up far earlier than that, but we're really grateful. And we're really grateful for Anjama for also coming here. We are hoping to have more of these sessions on One Health. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming here. And again, thank you to our global focal points, to our note takers and rapporteurs at the end, and also to our lady here who was giving us a lot of technical support. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This is the end of the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.